Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in a relaxing feeling. And when you exhale, just allow feelings of tension, stress, or worry to leave your body. On the next inward breath, if it's safe to do so, on the outward breath, allow your eyelids to close. And in doing so, notice that you can't help but feel deeper and deeper relaxed. That's right. And the more relaxed you feel, the more I want you to drift into a pleasurable sensation of trance. And you experience this more than you know. But the key to trance is that you don't realize you're in a trance until you leave the trance. While you're in it, it just feels relaxing. That your imagination is working for you rather than against you. That as you breathe in and breathe out, it gets easier and easier to just completely relax now. That's right. As you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine a wooden table or desk with 4 legs. Maybe this is an old-fashioned table or desk, or maybe it's modern. It doesn't matter. But I want you to imagine perhaps feeling with your hands, your arms, just how stable this table, this desk is. I want you to get a sense that if this table had just 2 legs, it wouldn't even stand upright. And yet with 4 legs, it is sturdy, it is firm, it is connected. And then I want you to imagine you standing in nature, perhaps next to a sunset. Maybe the sunset is over an ocean, and I want you to get a sense that as the sun starts to set, imagine what it would feel like to have 4 legs of your own. To almost be planted there on the ground like a tree, having a sense that you are connected to earth, you are rooted, giving you a sense of balance and security. And in this place, I want you to scan your body for anything that doesn't quite feel right. Because in this solid, stable place, perhaps you can pay attention to an area of your life that is out of balance. And I don't know if that will be your health, your work, a relationship, or your relationship with food, but there will be an area of your life perhaps that as you feel rooted to the ground, strong and stable, that in this stable place you become increasingly aware of an area of your life that is not in balance. And there's no need to change it, but just knowing it is one step closer to going on a journey of discovery. And if something is out of balance and you decide to keep it, then it becomes a choice rather than a burden. And as you relax there, looking at that sunset, as the sun starts to set over the ocean, I want you to imagine that physically you stay there rooted to the ground, but your imagination can fly anywhere around the world. And I wonder what might happen if while you physically remain there by the sunset that your imagination takes you to Italy, to Rome. Perhaps you can imagine flying over oceans, or perhaps you imagine seeing some of the iconic landmarks. Perhaps the Colosseum, beautiful fountain, picturesque piazzas. And then before you know it, your imagination has taken you there. And I want you to imagine you're in Rome in an evening, sat at a table outside a restaurant, and the most delicious food is now in front of you. Whatever food you desire most, whether it's Italian or not, is the food on this plate. You can imagine seeing it, the colors, noticing the texture. If there's heat, you can feel the heat. If there's a smell, you can notice the smell. And then I want you to imagine that you're about to take a bite of whatever this food is. But imagine doing it in slow motion. As you do it, feeling the food on your lips, your tongue. As you bite into the food, feeling that you can feel the texture in your mouth. As the food approached your mouth, you can imagine smelling that smell. Feeling the taste on your taste buds. And I want you to connect with a feeling of mindfulness, of being 100% in this moment. That the only way you can experience the world is through your senses. What you see, what you hear. I want you to get a sense that everything you experience is through your senses. And while you're eating this food, you are alive in this place. And I want you to remind yourself that this feeling of mindfulness is available to you anytime you choose just to notice. Notice your surroundings, the temperature, the sounds, the feelings, the vibrations. As you notice it, as you feel it, as you taste it, as you smell it. Isn't this what being alive is? To be in the moment, mindfully noticing what is actually happening. You can only feel sad when you think about the past in a particular way. And you can only feel anxious when you think about the future in a particular way. But when 100% of your attention is on the very thing in front of you right now, it almost becomes difficult not to feel grateful, to feel in that moment a feeling of feeling blessed and appreciative. And I want you to imagine that your physical body is still there on that table, that outside restaurant, still enjoying that food, and then your imagination is now taking you somewhere else, perhaps to India. Imagine flying over mountains, countries, oceans, and then landing there in India, in a particular part of India where there are ancient temples. Perhaps you can imagine meeting someone that has gone on a similar journey that you've gone on, getting some kind of insight or wisdom from them, but mainly you're there to connect with yourself. And I want you to discover in your own imagination the most beautiful temple that you can imagine. Imagine perhaps finding a quiet place to meditate in this temple. Noticing that as you breathe in and breathe out, you just feel so connected with yourself. And then I want you to scan your body for any reasons that you would have to feel sad, perhaps even guilty. None of us are perfect. We've done things that we would rather not have done. And there's moments that we haven't fully learnt the lesson from. And I want you to entertain an idea that sadness goes away when there is a feeling of acceptance, and that guilt goes away when we finally learn the lesson we were meant to learn. And here in this temple, I want you to scan your body for any feelings of sadness that remain perhaps from things long in the past, and give yourself permission to fully accept what has happened without any desire to feel like it needed to be changed. Just connect with that feeling of acceptance. It is what it is, and it was what it was, and that's okay. And notice that at the point where you reach that threshold of acceptance, the sadness somehow changes in the same way that a caterpillar can change into a butterfly. I want you to imagine that this sadness can change into something else, something useful perhaps, at the point where it is fully accepted. And here in this temple in India, and now I want you to scan your body for any feelings of guilt. Maybe it was something that you did and you wish you didn't. Something you said that you wish you didn't say. I want you to scan your body, not just for the feeling of guilt, but perhaps the action or the behavior or the decision that led to that feeling of guilt. And I want you to ask yourself a question here in this temple in India. Knowing what I now know, would I have thought the same thought, done the same thing, said the same words? Or are you now wiser for that very experience that you went through? If you could go back in time and do something different, could you or would you have done something different? And if so, just imagine doing it differently. Not because you can change the past, but because you can learn from the past. And in doing so, become wiser. And by becoming wiser, in the same way that sadness can evolve into something else, what if guilt, when you truly learn the lesson, can evolve into wisdom, intelligence, maturity? I want you to get a sense that this is exactly what's happening right now. And try as hard as you might, you can't go back to that sadness and still feel sad, and you can't go back to that guilt and still feel guilt, because if you've truly accepted and truly learned the lesson connected to the guilt, it's already evolved into something else. And the harder you try to get that feeling of sadness, the more acceptance is created. And the harder you try to feel any sense of guilt, you're reminded of the lesson you've learned from that experience, and therefore you can't help but feel wiser for the moment. I want you to get a sense that here in this temple in India, this is where you're learning these lessons. We're not prisoners of the past. There is no life sentence of guilt. As long as you learn something, then you're constantly evolving. discovering who you really are. And allow yourself to still be in that meditative pose there in India as your imagination now goes somewhere else. All the way to Bali. Your physical body is still there, but now your imagination is in Bali. And there in Bali, I want you to imagine meeting a wise old man that you get the sense that you've met before. The wise old man is to give you some kind of insight into a choice, a decision perhaps, that will take your life in the very direction that it's meant to go. Imagine meeting this wise old man, feeling like you've had a conversation before, that somehow he knew the journey that your life would take. I want you to get a sense that it feels in a strange way that all of this was just meant to happen. It was meant to go the way that it did. And in doing so, your life is enriched by the process. You walk away from this old man feeling more resourceful, with an insight, perhaps with an idea that there is a word now that has a new meaning for you, a word that represents many different things. And maybe this word is in English, and maybe it's in a different language. And maybe this word hasn't been revealed to you yet, but will do shortly over the next few days or weeks. And when you hear it, you will connect with it, feeling a sense that this word means more than the word itself. It will have a ripple effect and impact into how you see life and what life means to you. And then imagine it's later that day, and the sun is setting there on a beach. There is music. And I want you to get a sense that here on this beach, you are about to find love. It doesn't have to be love for a person. It could be love for an idea, love for an identity that you aspire to connect with, love for a new vibration, a new energy, a new value. And here in this place, I want you to imagine finding a connection with that love, and noticing that it challenges you in some way, alters who you are and how you think. That somehow, after encountering this, things can't quite be the way they were before. But what if the journey was leading you to this point, to find this new thing that you love, perhaps more than anything else? When there is a love for life, there is an enthusiasm, a feeling of energy that is unlocked. I want you to get a sense that you are unlocking your capacity for love here on this beach in Bali, as the sun is now set and you can see the stars in the sky. And I want you to get a sense that somehow you have crossed over from the old version of you to the new version of you. That you are wiser, more mindful, more connected. But most importantly, your capacity to find the good things in your life is now unlocked totally. And now it's time to leave this place. As you recall that this idea of Bali and this beach is just in your imagination, and then find yourself there in a temple. Look around in that temple in India and realize that you're not really in an Indian temple. This is just your imagination. And actually, you're at a restaurant in Rome. And as you look down, you see the half-eaten food on your plate. And then you realize this is just your imagination still. And that actually, you're looking at the ocean where the sun is setting, feeling like you have 4 legs, rooting you to the ground, feeling connected with nature and the planet. And then you realize that still is just your imagination, thoughts within thoughts, ideas within ideas, dreams within dreams, and actually, you are listening to me firmly in the present. Very soon I will count from 1 to 10 to awaken you, and you will awaken feeling resourceful, connected, unlocking your capacity for love, feeling more mindful than you have in a long time, forgiving yourself of whatever you've needed to forgive yourself for, learning the lessons from your guilt, and noticing that sadness has evolved into something more useful for you. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, get a sense that you're in your own physical body right now, as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.